Trouble in Paradise podcast is intended for mature audiences. This means you will hear realistic adult language such as and go off. Audience discretion is advised.
What is knob polishing?
You're gonna make me say this. I am a neglected man.
I like to think that I look like a jack, even though my name's really Bob.
Does he have danglers or something?
Well, it's time to go do them lighthouse duties.
Sitting in the cheese at the old Walmart to cool off.
That should be the headline. Man tasered in the nuts after stealing beef.
Yeah, but you're not gonna sit in the cheese. You're not gonna sit in the cheese, and you're not gonna put ribeyes down your pants either.
House cleaning is secondary. So what is the Viagra triangle?
Possibly we aid in your digestion.
I don't know if his little hand is smaller than his little ears or what.
Aw, well maybe he has a syndrome.
You want to go check out my RV? It's parked right around the corner. Because I'm pretty sure that I saw some moose knuckle.
No.
There is absolutely some moose knuckle going on.
My swampy friend. What the hell is a swampy friend?
I know. So they're not going to get any scraping on their shaft.
Yes, I'm going to do a downward dog.
Okay, pretty lady. You had on those gosh darn sexy leather looking shorts.
Ladies and gentlemen, and assholes, gather round. It's time for another action-packed episode of
Trouble in Paradise.
Hi, I'm Nigel Kent.
And I'm Jasmine Starr.
And welcome to Trouble in Paradise.
The podcast that covers politics to the paranormal, conspiracy theories to crazy Karens, and all the weird news in between from our studios in Southwest Florida.
But once again, we are not in our studio in Southwest Florida. We are actually in our camper in, I guess they call this Central Florida, right? The Tampa area. Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando.
Tampa, St. Pete.
Yeah. So we're in Central Florida, but so high and strong is the commitment that we have to making this indispensable podcast for you. So dedicated are we to making this content that we do it even when we're not at home, even when our hair is not combed, and even when we don't have good lighting for those of you watching on YouTube.
Yep.
Jasmine Starr, before we talk about the agenda, why don't you tell us, and tell me, because I forgot, how people can get a hold of us.
Well, people can get a hold of us at Tipcast239 on Twitter, Trouble239 on Instagram, trouble@trouble239.com to email us, Trouble in Paradise on YouTube, audio versions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. And check out our Patreon at patreon.com/trouble239.
And you know that I am a fan of one French restaurant in particular, right?
Oui.
And that would be Burger King, the home of the Whopper. And I don't know why I wanted to drop that joke because it was related to the outline. I can't remember. Do you think that if you went to Burger King, they would make you wear a mask?
What we've seen around here, they're seem to be a little stricter around here.
A little stricter around Tampa, St. Pete. So if we went to a Burger King home of the Whopper here, they would probably make us wear a mask.
Yeah.
Well, there's one guy in Florida who owns a bar who's actually kicking people out of his bar if they wear a mask. So we're going to talk about that. I think that's actually pretty cool, and his rationale is pretty interesting as well. We've just come across some signs that the left is getting desperate. So gather round, bring your closest leftist, and listen to the podcast. We're going to do a segment on that. And one story in particular really shows their desperation at this point, I think. And, of course, one of our favorite games, Banglish, where we try to guess what things mean. Weird words. We try to make up definitions for them. So
Use
why don't
them
we,
in a sentence.
What would you like to kick off with? Oh, we also have some only in Florida, too. Forgot about that. Some funny only in Florida. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the only in Florida.
Okay. I think that's a great place to start. I don't think we've ever started with only in Florida before. You found this one. Fox 5. Polk deputy responds to call about alligator in shed. only to realize it was a pool float. I mean, and it looks like it was left there. I know that we're not sharing pictures today because we're not doing screen cap because we're on the road. But what I'm looking at here is a Polk County deputy who is squatting next to a very realistic-looking pool float alligator. But the way this alligator is positioned in the shed, it really looks like some asshole left it there to scare, like maybe the people that were moving in or something. Let's see what the story says. A deputy in Polk County responded to a call about a possible alligator in a shed, but quickly realized it would be easy to subdue. The sheriff's office said Deputy Trexler responded to the 911 call, prepared to find a large reptile. Instead, he found a pool float. He came, he saw, he conquered the beast, the sheriff's office wrote. He even knocked the wind out of it.
Oh, jeez. How corny is that?
The gator turned out to be a pool floaty. They ended their post with a hashtag reading, "Tune in next time when he wrestles a pool noodle."
Jeez.
It's not a hashtag. Whoever wrote this article is 60, but we get the joke, right? He's going to wrestle a pool noodle. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Like, that's a pretty good prank, though, if it's realistic looking, don't you think?
Well, the picture I saw, it looks like a pretty good gator looking.
I would see it
float.
if it was especially after dark. If I opened my shed and saw that, I'd probably shit my leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope though, like, you know, did they kill it? Like, totally kill it?
Did he shoot it? I mean, did he just pull out his? Did he get scared and just shoot it? And this is all like a elaborate cover story.
You can't do that in Florida. I remember like
I think you can probably get away with it if you're a deputy.
No.
They love their deputies in Florida.
Listen to me. You're like several years ago, and I wish I had this on video. Well, I do have it on video, but like accessible video still. I was outside in Naples and like the North Naples area, and you know, like there are types of calls that you might expect in North Naples.
Let's typify North Naples. What are some types of calls that you would expect?
Somebody stole my newspaper, barking dog complaints. It's not a high crime area. It's the deputies tend to get a little bored. So this one night, I am outside. It's about 2 a.m.
So we're not talking about Naples Park.
No.
Okay.
No. It's about 2 a.m. and I saw what looked like a large palm frond or something, like laying in the middle of Immokalee Road. And I was kind of looking at it, and I start to see it move a little bit. And it happened to be during...
The palm frond started to move?
Well, I'll get there. It happened to be during, like, mating season, like, for gators.
Uh-oh.
So when a male gator is on the prowl, they get up very high on their haunches. So there's this enormous gator walking down the middle of Immokalee Road.
Don't tell me he was trying to make love to the palm frond.
Well, no, there was no palm frond. From a distance, that's what it looked like because he was just laying in the roadway.
Okay.
So I called it in. I did not call 911. I'm not that person. I called the non-emergency line and just said, hey, there's a large gator in the road up here.
And he's trying to find something to hump.
Well, and I was, I didn't want a car to hit it because it really would have jacked up somebody's car.
Yeah.
So I shit you not, 9 deputies showed up they closed off both lanes of Immokalee Road. And
because they're not allowed to just shoot the gator?
But you can't do that.
Okay. Can they shoot a bear? Are they allowed to shoot a bear?
No, they're protected animals. So a
private citizen can't shoot a gator on his own property?
No, you cannot do that.
Wow. People do that in the Estates all the time, probably.
You cannot do that legally.
Okay.
It's you have to have a permit, and they're very limited whenever they do gator hunting season. But
Gator season.
if you
Bear
go
season.
if you go out with Florida Fish and Wildlife or like the gator trapper, you can pay a fee, go out with a trapper, and if they get a gator, then you are privy to getting the tail or whatever, the meat from it, but legally you can't. So the show that I witnessed with these deputies trying to wrangle this damn gator in the middle of Immokalee Road, like they grabbed one, like made like a lasso and got it around its head, which was stupid because then it just starts to go into the death roll and was hissing and flailing its tail.
Yeah.
One of the deputies,
And probably yanking on that.
one of the
cord,
deputies
too.
is providing cover. You know, he has his pistol pulled.
In case anybody tries to shoot the cops while they're wrestling the gator.
Well, yeah, in case
Is
the
the gator going to shoot back?
Yeah, in case the gator tried to.
Pull his Glock out and shoot a cop?
Yeah, but talk about a show.
Only in Florida.
Talk about a show. Watching them do that, but yep, that's deputies and Florida Gators. So.
Well, it seems like this guy had a much easier time, and we're glad for.
Well, thank goodness it was inflatable.
We're glad for Officer Trexler. There was another story that we just found out about 2 days ago. This comes from the online version of stories on Fox News, and it says, Florida bar owner bans masks, will eject patrons who wear face coverings. Quote, I don't want them here. I personally don't agree with it, says owner Gary Kirby. Now, do you remember back 8-10 years ago when they started banning smoking everywhere? And it was the same kind of objection, like, I'm not going to agree with it. I'm not going to go along with it. And then eventually the health department just crushed everybody.
Right.
And all the bars, no more smoking everywhere, except casinos, oddly. You can still smoke in casinos in a lot of places.
Well, casinos are generally on reservation land, so
Well-
they fall under different laws.
Well, the one that's in downtown Cleveland certainly isn't, and the one that's in the three that are in downtown Detroit aren't. And to mine, maybe you can't smoke at the one in Cleveland, but I don't keep track of this because I quit smoking a long time ago.
Right.
But the kind of objection to the mask mandate, although I disagree with the mask mandates, the kind of objections they have echoes of that whole period where smoking was eliminated from all these places. But I actually like this guy Gary Kirby. I actually like his rationale. It says, the owner of a bar in Florida has outright banned any patrons from wearing masks or face coverings amid the COVID-19 pandemic, saying he doesn't agree with the idea. Gary Kirby, we're about to make these guys famous, right? They're about to get cued. Gary Kirby, the owner of Westside Sports Bar and Lounge in West Melbourne, told Fox News that he's been getting death threats for prohibiting masks at his establishment, but claimed that the people in his town have, quote, for the most part, been in 100% support of his decision. I personally don't agree with it, he says. So that's why I made the decision to. I don't want them here, added Kirby in a previous interview with Fox 35 Orlando. Kirby reportedly began banning patrons with masks as of September 11th, good day, claiming that the CDC recommended safety precaution is hindering our lifestyle as we know it. In a statement to Fox, he added that he doesn't agree with mask mandates because face coverings make it harder for his bartenders to identify if a patron has been overserved. A patron. And I think that's a fair argument.
Valid point.
Kirby, however, claims he has another reason he's wary of face coverings. He alleges that his bar was burglarized after hours on August 9th by a man in a surgical mask. When asked whether he believed the suspect would have just shown his face prior to the pandemic, Kirby claimed that police told him that, quote, criminals would be capitalizing on the mask mandate all over, using it to their advantage to get away with crime. And that's fair, too. I think that has happened.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely. You think that
and all these people that were looting and rioting and stealing stuff out of Target,
Right.
they're not worried about being seen on camera because they're all wearing masks.
Yeah. Well, think about like, it's been a while now, but there were a couple of the females that went to there was like a rack that had been put like where they had broken the front window of the store, and the clothes rack was outside, and they actually go and like just like if they were actually in the store shopping, and they're like looking and checking out the sizes and everything,
Just
but they have
deciding what to steal.
yeah. It was like selective, and they had a face covering on.
Well,
so.
at least then hopefully if they're just, choosing a certain size, then that tells you that they're stealing it for themselves, which that doesn't justify it, but at least they're not just going to throw it on eBay and sell it to somebody on the East Coast,
Yeah.
You would
But
think.
I mean, what do people actually think whenever they do this? Oh, that looks really nice. I'm so glad that they broke that window out and I can do my shopping a little bit easier. It's like a sidewalk sale.
Yeah. So this Kirby guy, he's a conspiracy theorist because the next line in the story says he admitted to Fox News that police suspected the burglary was an inside job. A spokesperson for the West Melbourne Police Department told Fox News on Friday morning that a police report was filed following the alleged burglary. Well, duh. Police also said that Kirby has been, quote, uncooperative with any attempts to investigate the burglary further and has refused to meet with detectives. Okay, so they're trying to say that he framed a burglary in order to justify his no mask position. Is that what they're trying to say here?
Well, can we really believe anything that we read or see on TV anymore?
I don't know. That seems like an awful lot, because
I think
bar
we need
owner especially, because the police can only go and handle crime at a restaurant or lounge so many times before they give them a citation for having too many incidents, and they end up getting shut down.
Yeah.
So that
He sounds like one we need to get on the show,
yeah,
though.
we should probably call him. The bar's new ban on masks has received mixed reviews on social media. Of course, everything gets mixed reviews on social media. Everything.
Yep.
Dumbest phrase ever. With people as far away as Texas and California writing bad online reviews for the business. This is going to be the death of Yelp. I'm telling you, I called it. I said this like 4.5 months ago, remember?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to believe these online reviews anymore. They're too easy to rig. However,
well, and the owners can go in and actually, depending on which
can spam
place
them,
it is.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that you can also delete.
you can't, not from Yelp.
Not on Yelp, but
I own businesses, and Google you can't delete them from either.
Yeah.
But he told Fox News he has hundreds of messages of support from fans on Facebook. I'm getting messages on my Facebook saying, "Hey, football, we're coming there to watch the game." He told me. That must have been a verbal take. I love when they translate these verbal takes into the written word, and it ends up being like the dumbest quote ever. They do that to Donald Trump all the time, and it'll just be complete gobbledygook when you read it. But when you hear him, you know what he means, right? That even with Kirby's mask ban in place, customers won't be able to walk into the bar without any type of screening at all. According to Kirby, a doorman greets guests out front and takes patrons' temperatures before they can enter. Once inside, any patron who dons a mask will be asked to remove it. If they refuse to comply, they will be thrown out.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay too.
I mean, they're going through a screening process. If somebody's febrile, I'm sure they turn them away.
I'm okay with them not screening people for
whatever
it's worth.
Well, I'm just saying though. Okay, an example: you go into the gym. A lot of gyms do this. They'll take your temperature before you come in because you're working out. They're not going to make you wear a face covering while you're working out. So their way of doing it and being compliant is, you screen people, you take their temperature. And I'd much rather have somebody scan me for a temperature than having to wear that crap on my face.
Yeah, I would too. But don't you think it's awesome how all of the temperature readers or things, and they always put them straight to your head like a gun?
I only let them do it on my wrist now.
Yeah.
And somebody actually said, we were told we're not allowed to do that. And I said, I don't care what you were told. I'm not letting you put that up to my head. You can put it right on my wrist. I said, you're going to get the same reading either way, and you will.
Yep. I just want to backhand it out of their hand and be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you pointing at my head? Like, just act like you're completely new, like you fell asleep in 2019 and woke up this morning. Whoa!
What's going on?
That would be great.
Why are you taking my temperature?
Well, you wouldn't even know what it was. You wouldn't know if it was a thermometer. I never saw a thermometer that looked like that. It looks like a pistol before any of this shit. West Melbourne, which is located in Brevard County, does not mandate that businesses require patrons to wear masks before entering. Instead, county commissioners decided in July that businesses must clearly state their own mask policies and whether they require them at entrances. So this isn't even controversial.
No.
We simply encourage residents, this is a quote, to follow CDC recommendations, which is to wear a mask, period, said Don Walker, the communications director for Brevard
Here's what
County.
the CDC guideline should be. If you don't feel well and you have a fever or any symptoms, stay home. If you're healthy, then...
The CDC shouldn't have a charter. They should just stop existing. They should go away.
Agree.
Them and the Department of Education. Oh, controversial take. Not. How do you think we got all these fucking assholes? Public education and other things. But you know what? Back in the 50s and 60s, vote and things will get better. Right? 60s, 70s, vote and things will get better. Use your voice. Vote, and things will get better. 70s and 80s. Vote. Things will get better. 80s and 90s. Vote. Things will get better. All the way up to, you have to vote. Things will get better. Vote, vote, vote. Mm-hmm. Things are better now, right? Because of all that conscientious voting that everybody did?
No.
So, I kind of applaud this guy. I feel like he's maybe grandstanding a little bit, but...
Yeah. I think, but we have one of those locally, too. And that's okay.
You're talking about Alfie Oakes?
Yeah.
Have we talked about his establishment on our podcast before?
Yeah, we've talked about him. I like that place, though. Speaking of voting, wasn't there something that came up, too, in Michigan about somebody who had some kind of problems with...
You're talking about the Michigan resident who decided to place a commode right in his front lawn?
That guy, yeah.
Yeah. The article is a Hill article, and it says, Michigan resident puts toilet on front lawn with sign reading, place mail-in ballots here. And this has 1,100 comments on the site. So you know this has been this is a hot topic.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody lost their shit. It says a Michigan resident's prank turned into a serious offense for one election official who filed a police report over a toilet in somebody's yard with a sign that read, place mail-in ballots here. Of course it was an election official. I mean, does this upset you? Does this make you mad?
No, I think it's funny.
Do you think anybody would place mail-in ballots in the toilet?
No. I wouldn't even consider it a prank. I consider it somebody that is just having a little fun.
Somebody should have just sat down on it and took a shit. That would have been the way to get them back.
I think it's somebody that is just trying to make light of a shitty situation, no pun intended.
Yeah. Yep.
And all they're doing, honestly, is expressing their First Amendment right.
Mm-hmm. It says the resident's politically motivated lawn ornament sought to poke fun at mail-in voting, which has been the topic of many controversies this year ahead of Election Day amid the coronavirus pandemic.
I don't even want to hear that anymore.
Barb Byram, the Democratic clerk of Ingham County, filed a complaint.
Barb
Byram.
Barb Byram.
I bet you she's beautiful. I bet you she's gorgeous. We should look her up and see if she's gorgeous or not, because she's Democrat commissioner.
There's somebody who put this on their front lawn.
This could lead to...
How many ballots are going to be unread because they put them
ended up
in
in the toilet?
None.
It's like they're flushing the votes down their toilet.
Arguing it could mislead people who are unfamiliar with the voting system. That's what it says in the lawsuit. Okay, listen. If you're not an American citizen, then you don't understand the voting system. If you're a felon, you don't have the right to vote. Who else is going to put a ballot in the toilet?
Well, they want them to be picked up, so they can be.
Okay, well, here's where Byram may have her point. It says, quote, "It is a felony to take illegal possession of an absentee ballot," Byram said Friday. She added that the matter is much more pressing for the upcoming election.
Okay, Karen.
Because they're relying on ballot
This
stuffing
is an
to
okay
get
Karen.
This is, except it's okay, Barb.
Okay, Barb.
This is a okay Karen.
Yes.
Yeah. Should I flip over to the okay Karen music just for fun for a second? I think we should. All right, that's okay Karen bumper music in honor of Barb Byram. It's solicitation of absentee ballots into a container, Byram said Friday evening.
Oh, good.
Our election integrity is not a game. I expect everyone to act appropriately, and this is unacceptable. Social distancing. Byram said under Michigan election law, it is illegal to take possession of an absentee ballot as felony punishable by a maximum of 5 years in prison and a $1,000 fine. Why? Why is there always such a...
He hasn't even done... it's not like he's collected any ballots.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. President Trump and Attorney General Bill Barr have expressed apprehension this election season that mail-in voting would be 100% impervious to voter fraud, stoking concerns with election officials that their warnings could confuse or discourage voters. Okay.
All right. Well, is that any different discouraging voters than when people put a sign in their front yard and then put the mouse traps on the back end?
Well, I mean, when they're in Colorado and California and taking truckloads of mail and just dumping them in fields because they don't want to do their work that day. Like there's like over the road drivers that are dumping cross country mail like in behind buildings and stuff like that. That's a problem, right? Because those ballots are never going to make it. Byram said mail-in voting is, quote, the safest way to vote during the pandemic, dude.
Of course.
Dude.
Of course, she said that.
Then masks do not work. Okay? Pick one. Would you rather, pick your poison, Jasmine Star, would you rather, knowing that masks work, go and vote in person, or knowing that masks do not work, vote by mail during the pandemic?
I'm voting in person without a mask on.
Good luck with that. But
just saying.
Just go in there like this. And put your hand over your mouth. No, it's fine, man. I'm using my hand. But you know what I'm saying though? Like this is they're arguing both sides here.
Yeah.
If masks work and they're going to enforce the social distancing at the poll, then why do people need to vote? This is no more safe.
I have never used a mail-in ballot. I'm sorry. I've always voted in person. I will continue to vote in person. And I encourage other people, especially right now, to vote in person because call me crazy or a theorist or whatever it may be, but I do not trust.
I don't even trust the in-person voting because it's... It's all internet ballot harvesting and stuff like that. Like, there's ways they have to transmit their data from one site to another.
Well,
like, there's 10 different ways to manipulate it.
Look what year was it that Florida...
Well, that was what resulted in all this electronic nonsense. You're talking about the Broward County Bush versus Gore.
When it got hung up for...
A hanging Chad. It was 2000.
Yeah.
Yep. So here we are 20 years later. We still can't do a frickin' election right.
Well,
and now they want to do something that has literally never, ever been done, which is foist the entire burden of the election, if necessary, upon the Postal Service, whose purpose it never was and whose design it never was to do that.
No.
With no warning, pretty much.
Well, you have postal carriers, like I think there's been a couple that have come out to say that they've been taught how to heat up the envelopes and like essentially create like voter fraud.
Yep.
You know, so that just makes me a skeptic from, you know, I am not.
Plus the
I
abundance
trust people,
of votes
but at
too.
the same time, I'm very untrusting
you can vote
of people.
time and time again where there's no voter ID. You could vote 500 times with 500 different names and 500 different signatures and have no way of all you have to do is live in that district. And it's very easy to register in multiple states and multiple districts because you don't have to provide anything other than your driver's license. You don't have to give them your social or anything like that. So that unique identifying characteristic is not there. And this is, I don't want to get into voter ID because I've got mixed feelings on it. I'm Republicans hate me because I'm not fully in favor of it. But I think when you have voter ID, there's a privacy problem, right? Because if people find out how you voted, they might have an issue with you, you know. Anyway, Byram said mail-in voting is the safest way to vote during the pandemic. Okay. An address for the house with the toilet and sign was not disclosed, though another sign in the yard also called for the resignation of Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer, which I can definitely get behind. Nobody answered the door at the home with the yard display Friday evening. So they went and knocked on this guy's door. They were going to shove a microphone in his face, and hopefully I would have just had a pie, like a cream pie, right next to the door on the inside, ready to go. Sure. Boom.
No, you
Get on
can't
TV.
do that.
Yes, you can. You're on my property. I'd be like, go away. Go away. One more time. Go away.
You'd have
and
to
then
have
boom.
it. You'd have to have it posted. Trespassers will be
pied.
Pied.
That's
A pie
good.
to the face.
A pie to the face. You know what's almost as good as a pie to the face?
What?
Banglish.
Banglish.
Banglish is the game where we try to make up funny definitions for words we've never heard of that are just kind of strange words.
Right.
So we challenge each other to come up with a list of strange or esoteric words, and the other person has to blindly use them in a sentence, thereby providing a definition. We go back and forth like this until we run out of words or run out of time, whichever happens first. And as is always the case in Banglish, ladies first.
Okay. Do we have some music for this?
Yeah, I think we have some Banglish kind of music.
Yeah.
It's going to sound an awful lot like the music that we use for everything else like this one. Banglish. There we go.
Great one for Banglish.
Yeah.
All right, Nigel. Your first word is frankenfood.
Frankenfood. Let's think about that for a second. Where did I put my ones in? Okay. It's a few days before payday, but there's 10 different kinds of leftovers in the fridge. Time to make some frankenfood. Am I close?
Well, I mean, obviously it has to do with food, but frankenfood is genetically modified food.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, not okay.
Yeah.
Not okay. I just muted the music, but it's still on the recording, so no worries.
All right.
Yeah, frankenfood, genetically modified food. Yeah,
frankenfood.
GMOs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your first word, Jasmine Star, is flibberty-gibbet.
I ran out of worms, so I used the flibberty-gibbet instead to bait my hook.
Oh, so a flibberty-gibbet is sort of an artificial fishing thing?
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
I don't know.
Do flibberty-gibbets work better than worms?
No, I'm a live bait kind of girl.
Oh, so flibberty-gibbet is not like
It would be
a
like
crawfish or something. It's a
No.
real artificial thing.
Yeah, it's like you ran out of worms, so you had to downgrade and use your flibberty-gibbet.
Well, you know that originally it's a French word.
I did not know that.
Flibberty-gibbet. Anyway, it's a Middle English word referring to a flighty or whimsical person, usually a young woman. In modern use, it is used as a slang term for gossipy or overly talkative person. So I think we know a couple of flibberty-gibbets.
Yeah.
Okay, what's my next word?
Your next word, Nigel, is gabelle.
Gabelle. I went to this wedding on Saturday and I was so hungry, I was forced to pull off a super low-key gabelle. Okay. So a gabelle is when you get away with eating 2 appetizers. When you're sitting down to a wedding dinner and you haven't eaten in 24 hours and you realize the appetizer is so small, you're getting hangrier. Then you realize that the guest assigned to sit next to you isn't able to make it, and you get to snarf their appetizer too. Not
Snarf
a
it.
gobble, but a proper gabelle.
Oh, okay.
We gabelled it up.
Well, you're way off on this one. It is a tax on salt.
Okay, why don't they call it salt tax? That's the dumbest thing that has its own name.
A stacks.
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 Okay, go for that. A salt tax, a gabelle. I say we raise the gabelles. Okay, the next word for you, Jasmine Star, is argle-bargle.
If I eat something that doesn't agree with me, I make
Oh.
argle-bargle sounds.
So it's safe to say that those kinds of sounds can come out of
No,
different-
like, in your stomach.
Oh, or that. You could just argle-bargle.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
This isn't actually completely too far off the real definition, which is a bunch of endless or meaningless conversation or useless talk. So it's noisy. Like a
Noisy.
stomach. What's the last thing that you ate that gave you an argle-bargle?
Probably like ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little lactose argle-bargle.
Yeah, I'm starting to think. I think it's like becoming an old age thing.
Well, I mean, I always got, if I ate ice cream when I was a kid, I always got a stomach ache. I would get cramps in my
You
lower
probably-
abdominal cramps.
Yeah, no, you sound like you have a little.
But I can eat it. I just can't eat tons of it.
Yeah, no, I've never had like an issue, but like the last maybe like couple years, like
Getting those argle-bargles.
yeah, start making some intestinal noises as it's passing its way through.
Okay.
It's usually upper though. It's not like crampy like you're talking about. It's like all in your stomach, like upper intestinal area where it's talking.
Okay.
What?
Talkative tummy. Argle-bargle. What'd you say?
Argle-bargle.
Argle-bargle. Louder. Argle-bargle.
All right, let's move on. Enough about my intestines.
Uh-oh, somebody just made an argle-bargle down here.
Yeah.
So everybody, we have 3 dogs with us in the camper today. We are recording this podcast from the Madeira Beach campground, which is halfway between, I guess it'd be halfway between St. Pete Beach and St. Pete, roughly. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's why we have lots of background noise, because the AC is on, because it's hot.
It's hot in here. All right, Nigel. Your next word is groak.
Groak?
Groak.
If I don't move out of California, I'm going to go completely groak. And what groak means is when you're so woke that you're constantly talking about the spectrum of gender, peaceful protests, and how Antifa didn't pay you to gatecrash a BLM march, you cry, scream, and even groan about people who love America. And when a woke person groans constantly, they are groak.
I think that needs to replace this definition.
Uh-oh.
All right, so the true definition is to look at someone while they're eating, hoping you'll give them some of their food.
That goes along with a
I was
gabelle.
like thinking like that's hash brown will do a groak, and you fall for it all the time.
So
when-
a groak is what you want if you're trying to seek a gabelle.
To look at someone while they're eating, and prime example is when she knows how if she does that little backwards little
Oh yeah, she gets a treat.
look up at
'Cause
you.
it's the cutest thing ever award.
Yeah, she'll get a whole hamburger.
Yeah. Well, she does, and Hash Brown gets a whole hamburger, and she will be getting lots of bites of the chicken later when we have dinner. She's special.
Lots of the chickens.
You know what else is special?
Your next word?
Yes, and that is nudie-eustachian. Or perhaps it's nudie-eustachian.
I thought it was the nudie-eustarian. considered me a muse and painted me like Jack from Titanic.
So that's okay. So let me try to guess. What you mean is a nudie-sturdian is an artist that paints nude people.
Like, and it has an appreciation for...
Oh, like a
the-
connoisseur of nude art.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nudie-sturtian, I think is how it's pronounced. How did you say it? Nudie?
You said Sturtian, and there's not another T in there. I've said nudiasterian.
Well, okay. I mean,
I thought about like Brarian, nudiasterian.
it's nudie-sturtian.
You didn't give me another T in there.
Nudie-ustertian. Oh, so you have nudie-usterian.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the same thing. But what it means is, and this is nowhere near the nude, horny
Jack,
painting.
will you paint me like one of your
French girls?
French girls? I think it was draw.
What it means is pertaining to the day before yesterday, or being 2 days old. It's like example. I can't even read my own notes. We went out to eat that nudisterian day. Probably, I'm thinking it's like a shop term for somebody who makes calendars or writes calendaring software or something. You know what I mean? Anyway.
So if we go back to the place that had all the cocks out there earlier,
You could say that
that I could.
48 hours ago they made a nudisterian cockadoodle-doo.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Your fourth word, Nigel, is ill willy.
I went to give Bob a wet willy, but it ended up being an ill willy. Which means that you've just licked your pinky and stuck it in your friend's ear only to realize that you withdrew a giant orange wax ball.
Oh, gross.
That's an ill willy.
Ew. It means having an unfriendly disposition.
Oh, like if somebody's a dick, they're an ill willy?
Yeah. Like, stop being an ill willy.
Okay, I could see that. Ill willy, yeah.
Yeah.
I like my definition better. I think.
Your definition of groat is my favorite so far.
Okay. Yeah, this one's funny. Your next word, Jasmine Star, is titty nope.
When your man tries to get a piece and you're not in the mood. Titty? Nope.
I just want a little bit of titty.
Nope.
That's pretty good. That's straight, concise. It actually,
Titty?
it's related to another. It's related to another tit word that I actually knew.
Titillating?
No, titty nope means the last remaining bit
Tits.
of. No,
Like whenever, like that steak you cooked last night was tits.
that was the tits.
It
yes.
was tits.
Titty nope, the last remaining bit of a supply. Like, there's a titty nope of flour left in the sack.
Sorry, I'm 9.
He said sack.
I know. I'm such a. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but you know how I like sometimes say
Titty nope.
it's a tit bit nipply?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a tit bit of flour left. There's a titty nope of flour left. I think that's where it came from.
Titty nope. Oh.
Is it a big titty nope or a little titty nope?
Oh.
So the bulldog Jax just decided to awaken after about a 4.5-hour nap, and he just realized that he's still alive and didn't go to heaven. He's looking around confused. We're trying to remember where he's
Where
at.
am I?
Yeah. All right, your next word, Jasmine Star, is
think
it's your
it's your
turn. Yeah,
turn.
sorry.
Last word. Lalakesia.
No, this screws up my definition because I was pronouncing it Lalochesia. Which is it? Is it Lalochesia,
I don't know.
Lalochesia, or Lalochesia?
I don't know. Let me.
Well, I'm going to go with my pronunciation preference, which is Lalochesia. And what Lalochesia means is, Doctor, this patient has a serious acute case of Lalochesia, which is a dangerous medical condition that causes uncontrollable laughter after consumption of cheese. Okay.
Let's see. Why?
So your last word is...
Wait, you don't even know what the definition is.
I
I was
just-
trying to find the pronunciation.
All right. Well, hit me with the real definition.
That is actually
Lalochesia.
when you get emotional relief gained from using abusive or profane language.
So if you cuss a lot and it's relieving to you...
Yeah, you get that stress relief when you're just like,
So if I was like, Liberty Gibbet, I would feel better. It might sound like... It might be called...
Flubert!
Flubert. I never...
Gofa! Cough!
Gofa! Cough!
Do you feel better now?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I wasn't really frustrated, but... So that's Lalochesia. Okay. Desmond Starr, your last term is
God.
coming tonight. Coming tonight.
Like every night, I hope I'm coming tonight. I'm so ashamed of myself, but I do not know any other.
Oh, that's your actual definition? That's
Yes.
okay. Coming tonight, and you said
Like every night,
I
I
hope I'm coming
tonight.
tonight. Oh, nice. Not kidding. Coming tonight is a brownish mineral made of iron and magnesium. It's named after a gentleman named Cummington. Coming tonight.
Coming tonight.
Coming tonight. Yeah. Or apparently it's named after, I guess Cummington is a town in Massachusetts, which was presumably named after a dude, if I had to guess.
Mr. Coming Tonight, can you please come up to the reception desk?
Yes.
Mr. Coming Tonight.
Who-
Party of two. Coming
There's
tonight.
so many of you. Who's coming tonight? Boom, boom.
Coming tonight. Party
Where
of
are
two.
you coming tonight? Boom, boom. Come on, man. It's word humor. I'm not even getting.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Oh boy. All right, listen to this. I'm going to run this. This is from 2 days ago. This was when the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, and by former I mean back during Bush 43. I'm going to run this interview with you real quick. It's about 40 seconds long. See what you think.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Let me take it off Banglish first.
I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars?
Let me restart it.
George Soros
Because
doesn't need to be a part
hang
of
on
this
a second.
conversation.
That's going to be a nice edit in the audio version. All right, so here's Newt Gingrich talking about.
And this was when?
This was 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't even know what they were talking
And
about. I
who-
think they were talking
who
about
is the-
rioters, probably.
And who is the news source that?
This was, I think, this
Like
was from
this
Fox
interview.
News. Yeah,
It's
this was
Fox
a
News?
Fox News interview. Here we go. Here's what Newt has to say, and listen to the way they deal with the subject with him.
Pro-criminal and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros's money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this. I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions
No,
of
he
dollars
didn't.
he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Ooh, they're afraid.
Okay. So it's verboten.
All right, we're going to.
Yep. So interestingly, they're pounced on. Newt is pounced on by these two interviewers, and one of them is actually off screen, interrupting the A and B conversation to remind, even though the primary interview has already said we're not talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
He continues to talk about it, and then from off screen comes this other talking head that's like,
Okay.
yeah, we're really not talking about it. And Newt's like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here in silence and watch you guys bake for a second. Now, Fox News has traditionally been the the network of right-leaning people, right?
Of any of the news networks, they're the most right-leaning. Yes.
Well, any of the ones that have been around,
In
more
comparison,
than 15 years or so.
Well, in the U.S., in comparison to the other news networks, they are the ones that are typically further.
Well, I mean, there's new ones now. There's Newsmax. There's OAN. There's some ones that are far to the right. And Fox News has done
but of the big media networks, when you're talking about MSNBC,
the big ones that are all 25, 30, 40 years old. Yeah, CNN. But what this has caused me to discover is that Fox is not a conservative network, and it never has been. It's a neocon network. Because Fox News was all about, hey, man, the Arabs did 9/11, and all these religious men did 9/11, and they hijacked a bunch of planes, and it's right. Now we're gonna go kill Saddam Hussein in Iraq and kill 1 million Iraqis because there's weapons of mass destruction. They were just parroting these neocon talking points. Talking. Is that like marketing talk? Talking. Anyway, but the fact that they're shutting down Gingrich on a George Soros call out, I mean, they are shameless now. Like they're not even trying to conceal their loyalty. And Soros probably owns a big chunk of News Corp, which is the company that owns Fox News. If I don't know the ownership structures, and some assholes probably, he owns the whole thing, fucker. Fine, but you know what I'm saying? It's like
his reach is unfortunately very great and very, very deep.
Yeah. Well, and he is a extremely progressive. He's a lot like Bill Gates in that he's sympathetic to eugenics. He's, has way too much power for any individual, and he's not a citizen of the U.S. So the money he's pumping into the political system in the U.S. is blood money, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I showed you that one article yesterday about the breast milk investment and everything, where they're going to be engineering.
Oh boy! And what are they calling it again? Do you remember?
I'd have to pull it up again.
So something milk, right? But it had kind of a weird name. So while she's looking that up, Jasmine found a story about these eugenicist investors that decided to start a company that is going to artificially but organically create breast milk.
Well, here it is. And what's interesting is it's called, it's under children'shealthdefense.org. More Gates funded, and then quotation, Brave New World Science, fake breast milk.
Fake breast milk, yeah. So in other words, we already have fake breast milk. It's called formula. And you can also get breast milk from breast milk donors if you choose to. So what's the difference here? Why are these eugenicists creating a breast milk alternative? And what are the purported advantages?
According to them, it's going to far surpass anything that's ever been seen or done before. Here we go again. The same kind of stuff.
In what regard?
Because they're going to be using human RNA and DNA mammary cells to reproduce and replicate human breast milk.
Okay, let me ask you something. Think about that from a manufacturing standpoint. Biomilk. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So how are they going to? So what are they going to do? They're going to remove mammary cells from women and use those cells to create breast milk? What are they building, an artificial tit? I don't.
Okay. Well, all I want to just point out in here, because it just gets to be a little too deep. But, when you're talking about leaving him out of the conversation and that, okay?
Yeah, he's one of the guys that's behind this thing.
All right, exactly. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. Fellow investors include Jeff Bezos, Michael Bloomberg, Richard Branson, George Soros, and Mark Zuckerberg, among others.
Left-leaning. Yes.
And Gates.
Also left-leaning. Big
Okay,
time.
but why in the hell are they investors?
Yeah, they're not doctors.
No.
But they're supporting the mission of a primarily female doctor who has said that this basically come out and said this company doesn't need to make money. Now, those guys are the wealthiest guys on the planet. Why are they pumping money into a company that doesn't need to make money?
Right.
What does that tell you about where their agenda is?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I try.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'll forgive you.
What
I hear you,
what
though.
they're saying is that it will provide a smaller carbon footprint than ordinary baby formula.
Ordinary baby formula or ordinary human breast milk?
In comparison to formula.
Okay.
You know what?
Why aren't they more worried about cow farts at this point? I mean, seriously. Or the negative carbon footprint of all these.
Do you honestly believe that Soros is concerned about a carbon footprint?
No, this carbon science is all fucking bullshit. It's
Mark
all
Zuckerberg?
a device. No. The
You
guy
these
has the
guys
largest
are all
data centers in the world. He's not worried about having a negative carbon footprint, assuming that you can even legitimize that term. Oh, I'm getting worked up,
The
Jasmine
latest
Star.
Gates-backed venture to attract notice is a Durham, North Carolina-based biotechnology startup called BioMilk. Biotechnology.
Well, biotechnology.
Why?
Listen,
But where
I
are
spent
we-
20 years in Cleveland. That's one of the biotechnology capitals of the world. And biotech does not mean biosynthesis, okay? It means prosthetic. It means surgical tools. It means
I understand that.
oral medication. There's a lot of things that fall under biotech. So that alone is not a scary term. But the fact that they're going to manufacture something using human cells and then get people to drink it, that is scary.
Well, is this something that's potentially going to become something necessary, additive into somebody's diet?
I have no idea. I certainly hope not. I'm
Have
glad
you-
that
I
I
mean-
won't be subject to it because I'm too old to drink breast milk. I gave it up 2 years ago.
Wow. That was way before you met me.
Yes, it was. And I'm never going back to breast milk. I swore it off.
You know,
Do you remember that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
when are we going to stop trying to engineer what the human body is capable and is
Just let
made
Mother Nature
to
manage
do?
it. Yeah.
You know, and here I'm not one, like I said, I'm like, there's been some wonderful advances in biotechnology. 100% absolutely agree with that. However, when we start messing with, you know,
We're going to create
something-
consequences that we don't know how to deal with them.
it just starts to make me think about, you know, like we're genetically modifying things.
Well, that's the same
there
reason
we
for your
go.
objection to the vaccine approach that they're taking for COVID. Because A, it's not fucking necessary. B, they're trying to do things that are going to enter the body and modify the body's capabilities, which is not what vaccines do. The
All
body
right,
already has the capability to gain immunity due to exposure. That's what vaccines do. But now this new one, they're talking about putting other things in there, biotech things. You said there's an aluminum compound or isotope or something that's extremely harmful to humans that they're putting into it. So when it comes to COVID, I'm definitely an anti-vax, and I know you are as well.
Yeah.
But
you know, it just
why are they obsessed with playing God?
Thank you. And my brain starts going on these weird little things where I'm like, okay, well, if you already know that you're altering your DNA splicing, you're putting in these certain chemicals. We've already seen some of the things with Musk and his ventures that he's doing with transhumanism and stuff like that. And now we're going to genetically modify and create breast milk.
Well, we're going to take breast tissue and then put it in a plant, so you're going to make a fake tit in a plant, right? I don't know. Whenever you mentioned Elon Musk, immediately it came across the mind about that meme that was going around right at the beginning of the COVID thing where they were trying to say that Elon named his newborn child Influenza Musk. And I'm like they're triplets, right? Influenza, diarrhea, and something else. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, it was a funny meme for a little bit. Because they were trying to say, somebody got a whole bunch of people convinced on Twitter that Elon Musk named his kid Influenza.
Oh, jeez.
But that's actually all the time we have for today. Jasmine, it has been a wonderful, wonderful time. How do people reach you on Twitter?
Well, they can reach me at Jasmine Star 239, JazmineStarr 239.
And I can be reached at Nigel Kent 239. You might want to go directly to Jasmine's URL, twitter.com/JasmineStar239, because she is in Twitter jail right now for posting an extremely eloquent thing that we talked about yesterday, which was an indictment of the vaccine and the whole COVID situation. And it was really wonderfully written. Everybody needs to go check it out. In the meantime, to get a hold of us, trouble@trouble239.com, to email us, tipcast239 on Twitter and trouble239 on Instagram, plus patreon.com/trouble239. Jasmine Star, is there anything else on your mind?
I just want to stay out of trouble.
I want you to stay out of trouble, too, and we want you to stay out of trouble. How do you turn this thing off?